with regards to the topic. Now, this is the point in the article every week where the reader realizes that the congregation is always present, always attentive, and never opinionated. It is always also the point where we find out that the author stops daily to wax philosophical with sheep. His congregation quite literally are sheep. And what do we know about sheep? They may hear, but they don't always listen. In the gospel this morning, our reading speaks of some rather well-discerning sheep. Jesus says they follow the appropriate person. The sheep listen to Jesus and no one else. They may hear others, but they only listen to Jesus. You see, there is a difference between hearing and listening. I am sure those of you with kids are experiencing this multiple times a day, and I'm praying for you. Hearing means that you had sound resonate through your ears and perceived that something audible happened. Listening is really attempting to understand. Listening is taking notice of things and acting on what someone says. Listening is responding to advice or a request. When we listen, we engage our brains, not just our ears. The story is told of Franklin Roosevelt, who often endured long receiving lines at the White House. He complained that no one really paid any attention to what he said. One day, during a reception, he decided to have a little fun and try an experiment. To each person who passed down the line and shook his hand, he murmured, "I murdered my grandmother this morning." And the guests responded with phrases like, "Marvelous. Keep up the good work. We are proud of you. God bless you." It was not until the end of the line, while greeting the ambassador from Bolivia, that his words were actually heard. And nonplussed, the ambassador leaned over and whispered, "I'm sure she had it coming." There is a difference between hearing and listening. Who do you listen to? Well, this begs the question, who and why did the sheep only listen to Jesus? He says it is because they know his voice. Well, how do we get to know someone's voice? We hear it repeatedly. We recognize that the speaker is important, and when we hear it, we listen intentionally. So who is it in your life that you listen to? And how does this process work? With me, I either approach Father Walter or he approaches me. So it works both ways, you see. When that happens, it is up to me to listen and grasp what he is saying and take it to heart. But let's take this one step further. If you are listening right now, my best guess is that you would like to hear from God. Well, how does that process work? The collect for this morning prays, "O God, Jesus is the good shepherd of your people. Grant that when we hear his voice, we may know him who calls us each by name." Note that it does not say if we hear his voice. It says when we hear his voice. God is here. God is listening to us. God is speaking to us. God is responding to us. We must listen. You and I must engage the world in ways that allow us to see God. You and I must engage the world in ways that allow us to feel God. You and I must engage the world in ways that allow us to experience God at work. You and I must engage the world in ways that allow us to hear and listen to God. In the current COVID society, it is so important not to get flooded down by all the media and the negativity. It is important not to get sucked into all the negative posts on social media. It is important to look for the good right now. What we listen to shapes our behavior. It is imperative that we filter the type and amount of data that is being imposed upon us. All that negativity out there can affect our mood and behavior. Things are already at a high stress level. There is no reason to raise it higher. Stay informed, of course, but don't stay bombarded. Who do you listen to? In the last sentence of our reading from St. Peter this morning, it says, "For you were going astray like sheep, but now you have returned to the shepherd and guardian of your souls." I love that. You have returned to the guardian of your soul, the guardian of your soul. I aim to listen to people that have this in mind. I aim to listen to people that want to help me connect and keep me connected to the guardian of my soul. And not just them, but I aim to listen for the guardian of my soul, Jesus Christ, because I know he came that we might have life and have it more abundantly. Who do you listen to?